Hey guys, Eerie is here and welcome along to another video. Now, not many people decided to do this race, and probably with good reason. We're here for another round of the FIA Manufacturers Series. Last time out we were at Laguna Seca and we've travelled 300 miles southeast to the notorious Willow Springs. Now, if you don't already know, this track is one of the most treacherous in the game. It's difficult to stay on the circuit here, and if you go off, or more likely get pushed off, you aren't stopping and you will end up at either Death Valley or Joshua Tree. So the aim here is to really just stay on the track at all costs, but the only way to do that is by driving within our limits and staying out of trouble. So theoretically this should play into our strengths. But before we get into trying to do that, if you're new around here, this channel is all about me, a typical guy trying to compete at the highest level I can in my passion, which is sim racing. All whilst juggling being a husband, a dad and having a full-time job, so time is very limited. I share with you my sim racing journey, the good, the bad and when things don't go quite so well. So if you can relate, hit that like button please and subscribe if you haven't already, it really helps the channel out. So to set the scene, you join me here for some pre-race practice. Now, someone in the comment section last video said they'd like a tour of the circuit and my braking points, etc. So here you go, a tour and coverage here of my fastest lap. You can see my steering and braking inputs as we go round in the bottom left. By the way, if you're interested in what gear I use, everything is linked in the description down below. So the first corner there was Castrol Corner. You want to brake about 90 metres before the start of that left-hander, and then we've got another long sweeping corner here, the right-hander of Rabbit's Ear. So this is just where the left hand side, specifically the left front, is going to get absolutely monstered. Looking for the 50-metre board, braking around here for turn number 3 as we make our way up, being careful not to hit that ridge on the right hand side to Budweiser balcony. Again, you just got to be really careful here to keep it on the black stuff, making the most of the black stuff but not going off, because there's very little in the way of rumble strips around here. Up and over Munro Ridge here, the car's going to get a bit light on you, but not too bad really in these Group 4s, it's more in the Group 3s you've got to be careful. Through Wings Leg and then round the sweeper, and really now all you're thinking about is turn number 9. I'm going to brake just after the 150 marker here. Try not really to save too much time here, you're thinking all about the exit for the run down the pit straight towards the start finish line. And as we cross the line, my fastest lap turned out to be a 1 minute 16.263, which was 1.5 seconds off the 1 minute 14.7, which was the top time in the EMEA in the end. Now, I'm not mad at that. This is another track I'm not, like most of us, a huge fan of. But with that covered, we can now jump into the session itself and see how we fare. So here is the lobby then, and as it's revealed we can see that we've got some familiar faces in here from previous videos. Here is the points on offer to show you the strength of field in this one. 278 points for the winner, so a decent haul for the victor here. But to get decent points, a decent quali session will be required first. So moving into the session itself, another short one here at only 5 minutes greets us. This means we're only going to have time to do an outlap, then a fast lap, then get back into the pits, have an outlap and then go one final time. So attempt number 1 then, we are behind our old mate Blue Racer, who unfortunately is going to go off at the exit of the final corner, compromising his lap. We managed to keep it clean though, and we're going to put in a 1 minute 17.599, which is good enough for 11th at this point in a closely packed field, only 8/10 off pole. But time is ticking away, so we need to quickly exit out of here, get some new boots on and get round our outlap before time expires and squeeze in one final attempt. And as we're on our outlap here, we're now sitting quite nicely behind the car who's currently in second, who clearly doesn't want to give me the slipstream and exits stage left. He could have just pulled out the way, but anyway, you've got to do what you've got to do, right? I didn't feel my attempt was as quick as it could have been. I felt we could have gone quicker even without any slipstream, so I went for it alone. Well, I tried to at least until there was a huge traffic jam at the final set of corners, but we managed to avoid all of that and came across the line with just under 10 seconds left of the session to go. And on our fast lap, Sector 1 then, we are 1.5 tenths down, so not off to a great start here, but I felt I lost time towards the end of the lap, so I didn't abandon this attempt and just kept going. Sector 2, my hunch was proved right as we clawed a little bit back as we come through the gate, 31 hundredths of a second ahead of my previous best as we complete sector number 2. So it was going to be a close one, and we come across the line with a 1 minute 17.491, just over a tenth of our previous best and just over 9 tenths off pole, showing how close this lobby is. I always seem to be in the middle of the pack, which is a testament to the DR system on this game, and is fine on this occasion because I am car number 15 of 20. So currently 1 place ahead of where the game has ranked us in this lobby. We're going to wait to see where we end up, as this is going to dictate what tyre compound we start the race on as we move onto the race itself. So after it was all said and done, we were starting in 14th for this one, 1 place above our door number, which considering how quali has gone for us recently, I will absolutely take. And because of this, we've elected to start on the hards. I'll get into the strategy once we safely navigate the start here, but we'll be aiming to run these for the first 6 laps in the first stage. But all my attention at the moment is just to keep everything as safe as possible. We're on cold, hard tyres and we don't want to have any issues early doors. There's always one though, eyes right as the German goes off and is absolutely catapulted. You know what's going to happen shortly afterwards as well. The field is going to reduce by 1 and there are going to be 18 left in this one. Again, nothing to be said there, we all know my view on quitters. He won't be the only one though, I'm sure, and I expect that number to drop as more and more people depart the track throughout this one. But as I say, I want to keep it safe at all costs for now. I anticipate some of those around us will be on the mediums, so I'm happy to just sit here in 13th. As we're being dragged along quite nicely by the SLS in front. And as we do that, I'm going to introduce the race to you all here. This is round 3 of the latest season of the Manufacturer Series. This track is Willow Springs International Raceway, the big Willow layout. We're in the group cars and still in the Ford Mustang, which is our manufacturer for this season. The fuel is set to ×3, which is another reason why I'm sitting behind to try and save a bit of fuel, as it will be close and I don't want to be fueling in the pit stop if I can at all help it. The tyres are set to ×10, we need to use both the hards and the mediums. Now this Mustang isn't great on its tyres at the best of times, but combine that with this track which absolutely monsters tyres due to the long and high speed right-handers, the strategy for this one is going to have to be a 2-stopper. I'm going to stay on these hards as I've mentioned till the end of lap 6 and then do 2 stints of a further 6 laps on the mediums. So I just need to stay calm and patient here and lose as little a time as possible in the first phase whilst being on this slower and harder and more difficult compound of tyre, and the race will come alive later on. Which is why here on lap 3 I don't fight the Italian who I suspect is on the mediums. He's going to come through here and push us down to 14th. He duly overtakes the SLS we've been following as well, and we only lose 0.2 of a second at the end of that lap. We're going to need every tenth to eke out a result in this one. As we saw from the quali, everything is very, very close. So a good decision there in my view not to fight that one. And we actually find ourselves hanging onto the back of a huge train now, 10 cars including ourselves here on lap number 4, and inevitably, due to the close proximity of one another, a couple of cars are going to get themselves penalties. The Belgian in the Viper is one of them. We move past him comfortably and move up to 13th. The Cayman there was a bit more difficult to get past as he was in the middle of the track, but we carefully make our way successfully past him as well and move up to 12th place now. But keep your eye up ahead here. Hugo in the SLS is going to come in and off his hards, but we'll come to him later as his fellow countryman is back and up the inside. Now I know the game is up here, so I'm going to blip the throttle as you can see and let him take his line. By doing that, 1, I reduce the risk of contact and potentially a race ruining incident, 2, I lose less time fighting it, and 3, he is able to keep his optimal line, which allows him to carry the most speed through there and not hold us up. So I always like to clarify that because I get a lot of questions in the comment section. So back to the SLS. Him coming in is important because we have 14 laps left, which will equate to a 7-lap stint and then another 7 laps on his mediums. For me, that's cutting it a bit fine. By coming in 2 laps later ourselves, we'll only have to do 6 laps on each of our 2 remaining stints. So I envisage we'll be seeing him again later on in this one, and if we do, our tyres will be in better condition come the end of the stints. But we won't be seeing him or anyone else again if I go off. And I'm going to get so close here, as you can see, to going off. So as we come through turn number 9 here, just look how close my 2 left-hand tyres as I understeer here are to going off, but I somehow keep it on the track and live to fight another day. But managing that hazard, I'm going to have to manage another one pretty much straight away. Keep your eye on the radar here. As I look back, the Viper we overtook earlier fully sends it into turn number 1. Had I not delayed my turn in, we would have again found the sand. So we've dropped down to 13th, but we live to fight another day again. So at the end of the lap, our first stint has come to an end, and we come in for our first scheduled pit stop, along with everybody else, it seems. What is key though, is everybody in front of me was on the mediums as we suspected, which is great, as I was obviously on the hards. So got those out of the way, and the others have to use them at some point between now and the finish, or they will get a 1 minute, I think it is, post-race penalty. We emerged from the pits in 16th then after that stop, and as mentioned, we've got the hardest compound out of the way now. We don't need to think about them anymore, and it's time to go on the offensive and try and make some moves up the field. And these moves are going to begin pretty much straight away here at the end of the lap. The Dodge and the Peugeot are going to go side by side coming through the final corner. I knew this would compromise their exit speed, so I concentrated on trying to get as good an exit as possible coming onto the front straight. The Dodge, as you saw there, squeezed the Pug rather naughtily off the track, so we're past him, but the Dodge has the inside line into the left-hander at turn number 1. So we're going to take what we safely can here, which is 15th, and we're going to bide our time and try for 14th at the next available opportunity, which is going to arrive here for us coming into turn number 3 on lap 8. We pin it to the left hand side and move up the inside as he moves to take the racing line. A clean move there, and the ascendancy has begun, and up to 14th we go now. So the next logical move is 13th, and as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but have a look at whose name is above that BMW in front. That's our old friend Leonidas from Monza. Now, it would be interesting if we did catch up with him, because he was a nightmare at Monza, and it could be even worse here at Big Willow. But we're going to keep our eyes in the rear view here for the moment as we're under pressure, which is going to be relieved reasonably shortly as not one, but 2 of them both go off. So there's not really too much to worry about behind anymore, so we can concentrate, or we thought we could at least concentrate on Leonidas up in front. But as you're going to see there, 2 cars are going to come out of the pits to give us a bit of a buffer between ourselves and him. So maybe we won't be fighting him after all. Well, we might be, but we have a couple more cars to get through before we get to him. So we're going to rejoin the action here a lap ahead, coming into turn number 3, and keep your eyes up in front. The Italian in the Cayman is going to get himself another penalty. He's not happy about it though, and he is going to dive back up the inside of the Aston. So based on that, we probably should have known and expected what was going to happen once we overtook him. So we're just coming over the crest here. The gates are up ahead, so he's going to lose all his speed here. Shouldn't be a problem really. We're just going to overtake him nice and easily. So round the outside we go here. Notice how we make a clean move and we're clear, but he really doesn't want to lose this position. Keep your eyes on the radar. Despite being clear, he is going to throw it up the inside. He took the corner so fast that he actually ended up going off, but not to be outdone by his previous move. He, clearly looking backwards in the rear view, is just gonna block us in a Mazepan-esque move, and then shuts the door in our face. I flashed my lights at him to let him know my displeasure, but don't worry guys, I'm going to do everything I can to pass this guy. So I've been following the Cayman here for the remainder of lap number 11, and in a third terrible move he is going to just cut off the VW. Now I didn't know that was the turning point of this corner, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but the VW thinks no thanks, probably quite wisely, and jumps into the pits here, and we are now up to 8th place as a result. It is a false position though, remember, as we need to make another pit stop, which is going to take place at the end of this lap. So as the Italian continues to add to his list of questionable moves up ahead, we are preparing to come into the pits here. We're going to follow the Aston in to get our final set of boots for this one, and after some quick finger counting, I satisfy myself that we don't need any more fuel, and we're going to come out of the pits in 13th. You can see how busy it is here on the exit. I think that's 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th up in front. So we've got brand new tyres on now. We've only got 6 laps to go. So we should be in a really good position here to try and make some moves. Our immediate concern is the 2 SLSs and the Aston up in front. So we're going to try and make a dent into these guys, and also of note, there's a battle going on ahead of these guys as well. So we're going to do all we can here to get as far up as we can in the remaining time. I've been trying to put pressure as much as I can on the SLS in front here, who is actually going to have a last minute lunge on the TX3 driver at turn number 3. But he didn't give up, and he squeezes his way back through to keep his position. This is going to be a juicy one to spectate, and I'm just going to be here waiting in the wings like a vulture to pick up any scraps. Now the final corner here is going to claim yet another victim as Sherpa goes off at the end of the lap, and up ahead the battle is continuing. There's some door banging between the Mercs. I'm going to move to the inside as we come up to cross the line to start lap 15, and I'm going to overtake the pair of them, moving myself up to 11th now. The Merc did try to come back at me and try to go around the outside at turn number 3, but I understeer. Look at the red dot here. I was on full opposite lock and we just run out of road, and he goes for an excursion in the sand. Now I hope you know me, and I hope you know that it would have been absolutely unintentional, but as always I'm keen to hear your views, so please let me know in the comment section what you thought of that one. And in other news, I think I speak for everyone when I say, very sadly, the Italian in the Cayman is off. Can we get some Fs in the chat, well I say chat, comments for that one? I mean, not that I wish bad on people, but karma is a wonderful thing, as we know on Gran Turismo Sport, and this is going to promote us now up into the top 10. So because of our strategy, our tyres were going to be fresher in the latter stages of this one, and we were catching that group up in front. But the TX3 driver, Hugo, is going to go up the inside, and we are down to 11th. Now, no one wants to finish just outside of the top 10, so we are going to fight this one. Surprisingly though, the car ahead comes in for a pit stop. Bit of an odd strategy, but fine. So the desire to finish 10th turns into the desire to finish 9th. And we're going to stay on board here for the final 2 laps as I try and take this 9th place back. And I can afford to be quite aggressive, because I know TX3 as a group, an esports team, and I know, to be honest, that they're actually really good drivers, and you know, they're fair drivers in every experience that I've had with them anyway, so I can get really, really close, even on a track such as Willow Springs. So the issue that we're going to have here is, even though we've been on the tyres for less time, the Mustang is not great with its tyres. So even though we put them on a few laps ago, they're feeling pretty second hand already. I'm sure Hugo is having issues himself, but our strength here is the speed that we have in a straight line. Not so much the cornering speed, just in a straight line. So as long as I can get this beast in and out of the corners, we should have a shot. And this, to be honest, is probably going to be the best opportunity we have. I need to get as close as I dare to him here and come out of the final corner and get our foot down. He's obviously quite confident in his car because he hasn't covered off the inside. So we're going to be side by side here as we come across the line to start the final lap. I'm going to brake as late as I can here, but also I was conscious to give him space. So I couldn't go through there as quickly as I could, because if we were side by side, I would have just gone out wide and run him into the grass. Well, I say grass, it's not grass, it's more desert really, which obviously I didn't want to do. So we're beginning to run out of time here. We're as close as we can into turn number 3, but I just can't do anything at this stage. At this point, his car is stronger than ours, and as I've mentioned before, our best chance is probably either coming over the crest or coming out of the final corner. I think it's going to be the final corner because he can get on the power so much earlier here. We're going to get a bit of a run though because we're in the slipstream. Coming through the penalty gate there, no problem for us in this one because we haven't had any penalties at all. I look to the inside, but fair play to him, he's going to cut that off. Good move by him. I look again, but there's not enough space, so I'm going to pull out of it. I get really quite close there to the outside as I take a wide entrance to the corner to try and get a run on him, but I just can't get through, and it's going to be a straight drag race to the finish. But sadly for us, we are just going to lose out and come across the line to finish in 10th place, less than 1/10 of a second behind Hugo. So great battle, Hugo, thank you for that one, and congrats on your hard earned 9th place. Well, that race had everything. Strategy, near death, terrible drivers, great battles at the end there. I was very surprised actually at how fun this race was, and I'm really glad I did it in hindsight. As our 10th place is confirmed here, we got 173 points for that effort, which means we still have some serious work to do in our little battle with Ollie and James. Now, I did go again at Monza after that awful race that I documented on the channel. It wasn't really too much to write home about, although we did do better points wise. But back to this one, we gained a tiny bit of driver rating too, as you can see, but the main thing is that was another fun race which I really enjoyed sharing with you guys, and I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. The next round is at Blue Moon Bay, but before that I should have some dailies for you, and until then this is going to be the end of the video. As always, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please do hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Thanks again so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.